Here we go, everybody. Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, and I am reporting live from our little cabin in the woods in my entertainment room here at Murphy's Law. And we have tonight with us a wonderful author, and she has, this is Jeannette Brown, and she has The Illusion of Leaving. Jeannette is to the left of me, to the right of you, I guess. And welcome, Jeannette. Tell us about what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Thank you. I'm in Tennessee, and it's just like Texas, just the same.
Humid and hot, and it's like Adriana Trigiani said on her book club meeting today. I used to have 2 months of the year where my hair was frizzy. Now it's 6 months, and I understand totally. I have really straight hair, but when it gets like this, it does weird things. So we're glad you're here, and I've certainly enjoyed hearing you speak at Girlfriend Weekend, and I also am excited to hear more about your book tonight. And I talked to her a little bit before we started, everybody. She's got a lot going on. So I'm going to quickly, Mandy, are you here? Yeah. Mandy, there you are. Okay, I'm going to put you on as a co-host, and then we're going to let Jeannette talk about her book. This is really, Jeannette, for people who have not read your book. This is going to go up on YouTube, on my Kathy L. Murphy channel. And we want, for those that haven't read it, just give us the basic storyline, and then we'll jump in with conversation. Okay?
Okay. My heroine, the main character, is Jamie. She has left the small West Texas town. She has fled the town in her early 20s because her father was the big time rancher and just the big guy in the region. And she wanted to get out from under him and his shadow. And so she is in Dallas. And now she's grown up. She has couple of marriages, couple of kids, and Big Jim is dying in the nursing home. So Jamie's back in town, in this little town, to plan his funeral, and she hopes that it won't take a long time because she doesn't want to be there. Running into her ex-classmates, they treated her poorly because she was the rich girl, and they were envious and intimidated. So she doesn't have a lot to hang on to back there. Her mother had died earlier. So she's not in a good situation there.
Yeah, this is a story that I hadn't heard before in a book quite this way. I'm always looking for the stories that tell it from a little bit of a perspective. And having a daddy who's a big oil man, my dad was in the oil business. Okay. It's a weird place to be because people assume that, if you either have money or you have a lot of money, and it's not always the case. But when you do, then yes, you are kind of, distanced from everybody. We had a girl in school who was so beautiful that nobody liked her. I mean, and none of the guys would ask her out because they were too intimidated by her. And I tell you, she was the nicest girl on the planet. And somebody finally did invite her to prom. And she went on to become a professional model up in Montana she was a rodeo queen, and she became a model for Western wear. And she's probably still gorgeous, but yeah. And so how much of this was, probably based upon your life experiences? Was this anything like your family at all?
No, we were some of the poorest people there. Jamie is totally fictional. The small town attitudes and hypocrisy and double thinking, biting the hand that feeds you, the ballpark and the scoreboard and things like that. That's all pretty much my experience. Yeah. Another experience that is in the book that is true is that one of my classmates held a grudge against me for 40 years. And to this day, I don't know what I did, but she's come around and we're, talking and.
Oh my gosh.
My memory isn't that good. I don't know what.
And you have no idea.
I have no idea.
And she's never told you.
No.
That happens a lot in small towns. It really does. It's typical of, it's just like a smaller microcosm of everything's just like brought into a more of an intensity when everybody knows everybody's business. You can't walk out the door or sneak out the window with somebody not knowing about it, So that's always interesting. And you worked on this. What's your process in your writing?
I wrote this because I was waiting on my thesis committee to look at another novel that wasn't quite as good. And I had that experience at homecoming, and it's like, I wrote in my blog, it's like, I looked around and here's all these 60-year-old women dressing and acting like we're still 30. And so I had to get that down pretty quickly of like, who are we and why are we like this? So I wrote it pretty fast.
That's really, it's amazing. I couldn't put the book down. I love the cover too. Did you have any say in this cover? Because it's so typical of that part of the country.
Lisa Tremaine at Texas Review Press asked me, before she started on the cover, she said, do you have anything you want or you don't want? And I said, please, no desolate Texas landscape.
Right.
And she sent me that, and it's like, oh, it's the sky. It's okay. And I knew that was going to look really good face out on the bookshelf. She also designed Johnny Bernhardt's Sisters of the Undertow, because it's the same publisher, same designer.
Isn't that interesting? Well,
Yeah.
To me, it's beautiful because that's what I love about going home is being able to see horizon to horizon and the stars at night. You can't explain to people that grow up in the forest like I do here in East Texas. I can't even see the stars. I have to drive out of the ranch to see anything. I think it's beautiful. And the home that is pictured is different. But it is definitely, I think, more West Texas, But I thought you were going to say, I just didn't want them to put any oil derricks in it. They always, whenever they do a Texas story, they always want to put a derrick in it or oil spouting or something. And
giant.
Giant, exactly. And growing up with my dad having a drilling company, it's that. I see that a lot, but you have, so I know where the story now comes from, but do you write every day? Do you write in the morning, night? What's your routine?
I can't just sit down and write 3,000 words. I will write a little and then I'll read, or I was working at the bookstore, or I distract myself and things come and I have to write them down before I forget them. And then I know the next few pages. So it's not like write a book in a month. I can't do that because it comes so slowly.
I'm always amazed how people lock themselves in their writing room and they work for hours. For me, I sleep on it, and usually right before I wake up, I get the idea of where, and if I don't write it down right away, it'll slip away. But it's interesting how everybody does it. Do you start from beginning to end, or do you where's your story been? Do you outline?
No, because I don't know what comes next. I don't know where it's going to go. So it's like, I write these 3 pages and I go like, what would she do now? Or what happens now? So I have to go away and let it perk.
Do you have dreams about what you're going to write?
Once in a while, I'll just wake up like that and go, oh, that happens next.
Yeah, I do that all the time about all kinds of things. I come up with my best ideas in that early morning wake up time. I'll wake up and go, so that's how I do it, and then sometimes I'll run them by Mandy and she'll go, eek. I get some pretty far out ideas sometimes, you guys. And then I have to tether it back in, tow it back in. And so I'm going to open this up for talk for you guys. For any of you have questions about anything to do with her book or the writing, or what's your burning questions? Do you have anything that is just comes to mind? Yes, Kathleen.
Okay, so of course, Jeanette, I'm only in chapter 7.
Okay.
Here's what I love. I love Jamie's voice, and she's a bit of spunk and sass and tongue in cheek. And when she's come back home, but I sense also she's also a very empathetic character, because you can sense there's some pain and hurt. And I've only so I don't know, there's a big secret, I believe, or some secrets from the past. How did you find her voice? And also, thank you for writing about a woman who will never see 60 again, or possibly these are her 65 birthday candles.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you write what you know, and so there that happens. I thought that was funny because thank you for complimenting Jamie. Jamie and I have a lot in common, mostly our sense of humor. But I was looking at the reviews on Amazon and Goodreads about my book, and I'm quoting, here's one. Jamie is entitled, self-absorbed, snarky, which, yeah, she is all that. Another one said that these colorful small town characters are exhausting, irritating, and they make her exhausted, irritated, and angry. She wanted to abandon them, but she kept reading. And that was something I was discussing with some of my reader friends, is like, why do we keep reading? And one said, because our mother told us, if you start the book, you have to finish it. But others said it's the writing, or to see if that character, if you change your opinion of that character and you understand why they're snarky and irritating. And so I asked some other people, some reader friends, what if there were other characters that they had started out in books not liking and then changed their mind. And Holden Caulfield was one that they agreed on. The woman, did you read The Woman on the Train? Set in London. She rides the train and she's kind of stalking her ex-husband and the family, and you just write her off because she's an alcoholic and you think this isn't going to be good. But it changes and it turns out she's a really good character. So the
Girl on the train.
pardon?
Wasn't it The Girl on the Train?
Girl on the Train, I think you're right. Thank you. Thank you. Did you read that?
No, I just know about it. It's one of those I should have on my list to read, but I've read the description of it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one. It's a good one. But the question of why we keep reading, keep turning the pages, is always a mystery to me. And I usually finish books that I start, but every once in a while it's just out of there.
I used to do that. I used to feel obligated to finish a book, but since I won't see my 65 birthday again, I feel like my time is, limited. So, but I don't know. I think, the general advice is that you should write a character that people like. But then if you're going to do a character arc for that person, you can't do that. You got to start her out somewhere in a place that's different from where she ends up. So how do you balance those two things? Or did you think about it?
It's best not to think about that kind of thing. I just start out with a character and see where she goes. And I think Jamie ended up being sort of sympathetic because of her situation and what she finds out about her family. I think all of us have some guilt that we don't earn that we can get rid of. So she was in that position. Kathleen?
Excuse me.
So on the cover, I was looking very carefully, and yes, I'm from Eastern New Mexico, and I'll claim West Texas because half the time people think Eastern New Mexico is West Texas.
Close.
I noticed if you look really closely, at first it looks like a fence, but I believe that's the center pivot irrigation. Do you see on the back, down there by the logo of Texas Review Press, that looks like a center pivot, the irrigation.
Okay.
I just know my youngest son has an ag degree from
She does
Texas
have that
Tech.
magnifying glass because I don't.
I know center pivots.
I don't even know what that is.
I do. but-
Oh, it's the
I'm a girl here. What the heck are you talking about?
a center pivot.
Yeah.
It's if you're driving, well, and they're not just out in the West, it's when you're going past like a field, a farmer's field, and you see a irrigation. Okay, a lot of times it's a long line, but what you really see is there is like, okay, it's a sprinkler and it's going
It goes
in
clear
circles.
across, yeah.
So when you're flying in an airplane at 30,000 feet and you're flying over the West and you look down at that patchwork quilt and you're thinking, did that farmer plow that field and go around in circles? No, that's the center pivot water.
I learned something.
They have it in Mississippi a lot too. Yeah. So
But
anyway,
Jeanette, congratulations on you. And I've had the book since 2020 and I'm a slow reader, but when I saw your blog yesterday, I ran in my office, grabbed it off the shelf, took a picture. I thought, well, I'm just going to read the first paragraph and I'm in. So, and I sent my little sister a picture of the cover and she goes, oh my God, I want to read that book just based on the title and that cover. Because when you're from that area, it just speaks to our soul, even though we all left a long time ago. It's home.
Go back? Yes, you go back?
I went home in July and I took the Flying Cutterbucks and my audiobook narrator met me. She's from Albuquerque. Actually, we grew up together. We had a 40-year reunion. We have all been vaccinated. It was before the variant. And it was good to be home. But at the same time, I have to watch what I say here. You can never quite go home. You can go home. But I have a saying, I am the daughter trying to write my way home. What is home? I think that's probably the question in your book. Home maybe is our memories.
I think you can go home but not show your total self. Keep something back that would hurt their feelings or cause them not to speak to you again. So yeah, we hold back.
The one thing I have learned, I used to be embarrassed about the small town I came from until I got a little bit older. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a product of that place, my family. And all of a sudden I went from being embarrassed to I am proud of where I came from because that's who I am.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna let someone else talk.
you know, at the Texas Book Festival, I asked the audience, how many of you were born in a city? And, you know, people raised their hand. And how many of your parents were born in the city? And nobody's hand went up. You know, we're all from somewhere. And most of us have ancestors that are rural. I mean, it's only been in the past couple of decades that we've become city, and now it's going the other way because everybody's trying to get out of the cities due to COVID and all the restrictions and everything. And Californians are flooding Texas. And it's interesting how, but there is no place like home. Sorry, guys. There's no place like home being in Kansas. And if you want to watch a great film, I've been having terrible allergies, but watch The Tree, which is a 2017 film that is set in Wamego, Kansas, and goes to Terre Haute, Indiana, about a woman who wants to go back. She's 88 and she has this dream that she's got to get back home to see her childhood friend. It's such a great movie, and it would be a great companion. How books and you can do discussions about similarities. That'd be a great one to do. Little bit of different aspects, but the same thing is we're all trying to find what home is. And so, what is home to you, Jeanette?
I have several homes, like Spur, Texas will always be, and I was only there for my high school years. I was from Sherman until then. Sherman to me was a city. And then I went to this little town where it was a surprise. There were 40 in my graduating class.
Wow.
So that's home to me. Homecoming is every year. For our classes, it's, if it's a zero, like 30 years or 40 years or 45 years, then we try to party or at least have a float in the parade. Home is also here at the bookstore, because that's kind of another family. They were so supportive of my book being published, and they just did everything they could. I'm still on the staff favorites list. So that's another family. I have several. I lived in Austin for about 30 years, so I've got little friend family there. I spread myself around.
Yeah. Hey, Julia, welcome. Well, we're talking to Jeanette Brown about her book, The Illusion of Leaving, and we're also talking about what is home. It is often a theme in books, but it's always approached so differently. And, the old saying was, you never can go back home. Well, yeah, you can. It's just not going to be exactly, everything's smaller. The people all look older than you do. I mean, I remember going to one class reading going, who are these people? I mean, they're all gray, and perms and stuff. And I was just like, who are these people? And then I think time's kind of caught up, because as we've gone through the years, it seems like my classmates are getting younger looking. But I think the styles for older people are changing. Men don't, have on their cowboy shirts and their overalls or anymore. They've got on just regular jeans and polo or something. It's interesting how people dress. Now when I moved to every author that comes to Texas for book festival, they always the first thing go, where can I get some cowboy boots and a cowboy hat? And I said, well, you could probably drive to Longview to Cavender's, which is a chain, but people here don't really, they might wear cowboy boots for special occasions, but where I come from back in Kansas, people wear them every day. I mean, you just wear a cowboy hat and jeans every day in Kansas to this day. But I don't see that many people, unless you go to Fort Worth or the Stockyards or something, or West Texas, the West Texas Book Festival. I saw a lot of big hats. So, in fact, if you go to that Amarillo Visitor Center, the guys all greet you with bandanas, cowboy hats, and iron jeans. I was so impressed. Have you ever
white shirts?
Yeah, starch. They're starch, man. They're like Revis. I was talking to Revis today, and I'll have to share you something about Revis coming up. But anyway, it reminded me more of home than where I live here. And everybody thinks Texas is Dallas, man. They see J.R. Ewing and his daddy in those big hats, and they just no. It's always interesting where you come from. How often do you go back home to Spur?
Usually, Well, especially for funerals now that I'm of that age, but usually every year or two.
Yeah.
And in West Texas, the guys dress like that. They wear boots because they are cowboys.
That's
And
right.
that's what cowboys wear when they're riding horses. They have those boots that hang in the stirrups. So you got to have a hat against the sun. The one of my favorite Facebook friends is the 4-6s Ranch in Guthrie, and they are the true thing. Now a movie star just bought the 4-6s, but that ranch. Anne, I forgot her last name, but she inherited the 4-6s Ranch when she was in her mother's womb. Her grandfather willed it to her, and she ran it. She knew what horses were in what pastures, the quarter horses. So I just get my cowboy hit every day from the 4-6s Ranch and their activities.
That's just reminds me of home when I have my cowboy hat on, blue jeans and stuff. So any other questions for Jeanette? Yes, Robert. Robert first, then Eileen.
How long did it take you to write your novel, Jeanette?
No idea. Probably a year to get the real first draft, and then reworking and editing and copy editing and all that. But it probably a year or more.
Anything you learned about yourself or yourself as a writer when you completed the project?
I learned the process, that I can't push it, I can't plan it or outline it, that I have to wait and listen, and it's not that mystical, but I have to let the juices, I guess, refill, so I'll know what comes next. And that's what I do, is what happens the next page. I don't. Some people can write sections and then put it together like they're dealing cards, but that doesn't work for me. I have to do it in sequence, and I usually do it linear time.
Wow.
The beginning, middle, and the end is linear.
So do you know the end
No.
when you start? Like, do you know?
No.
Were there any big surprises when you were writing this one?
A funny one. It's not about the writing so much, but it is about writing. I read somewhere that the state of Texas Transportation Department had, and they have the roadside parks, and the roadside park nearest spur had this, was also a storm shelter. So I set a scene in the storm shelter that, it was a storm shelter. It was like 3 cellars in a normal house or something like that. And I had all of it worked out. So then I've written this whole thing that happens, tornadoes going on outside. So I'm with a friend in Spur, and I'm going like, let's go check out that storm shelter. Okay, we go to this beautiful, beautiful roadside park with the trees and the tables and all that. So we go around. The storm shelter is a bathroom with a door that locks. And in case of storms, lock the door. And it's a family bathroom, like the bathroom in your house, I guess. But it was like, I'm glad I wrote this before I saw what the state of Texas actually did. Because you couldn't get 6 people in there.
If they go to the restroom for a tornado, that's
in the middle of nowhere.
with no trees or protection or anything. But it's probably was a cinder block type building, or
oh yeah, built to last. But I was amazed at the decor. It was some Indian symbols, and I mean, it was really tastefully done. On the outside, it was, I was proud of Texas for that aesthetic. But it's still, like I said, 6 people couldn't get in there. But so yeah, most things were a surprise. Not for spoilers, but it's just like, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. The fun things are, to me, is settling into like the scene in small towns. After a funeral, there's a meal, and often it is at the church. And so just tightening down to that one room in the rec room in the church, and imagining all the different foods that are on the table, and they all involve a can of mushroom soup for the most part, or Jello. And then who's there, and when somebody comes to the door, everybody stops talking because they all know what this means. It's just fun to stay in the scene for several pages and see what happens and milk it, kind of.
Well,
I think Eileen had a question, Kathy.
oh yes, Eileen, go ahead.
Well, I think I've got a bunch of other questions in the meantime, but I live in New Jersey, so I'm thinking that I've always been encouraging people to read about other cultures and, read about other parts of the world, but I think I need to read about West Texas because I don't know it at all. And but what's the same, it seems, is, going home. I still live 20 minutes, 30 minutes from where I grew up. And, but New Jersey is not a big state, as you know, how many New Jerseys can fit inside of Texas. But we have, when we get together, our high school, I graduated with 350 students.
Whoa.
And and there's still a core group that when we get back together and after our 50th, we continue to meet, try to meet every year.
Mm-hmm.
And some people that are local, some travel, but it's that those people are the ones that really know who you are, who you were, no matter where you are now. And like, you can't fool them or, it's there's just so my question was, I don't know too much about your book, but it seems like it's developing friendships or going back and reviewing friendships and the friendships of women. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. There's three main women in the book, and I've forgotten one of them's name. If anybody, it's Gina, is the artist, and I should have looked at that up. Wanda and Gina and Jamie were all in the same class. They weren't Gina and Wanda weren't really good friends with Jamie, because, as I said, there was this aura around Jamie with the money and the privilege, and of course she had a car before any of her classmates did, and it wasn't a used car like the rest of them when they finally got one. So as older women, they have lots less to lose by coming back together. They have less in common, but they are not the competition and the jockeying for guys and cheerleading and, popularity and whatever there was in high school to have emotions about. It's not there anymore. So they can be themselves with knowing who they were and a little bit of who they are now, because of course everybody's changed so much and there's grandchildren, and Jamie doesn't want to hear about anybody else's grandchildren. She can barely stand to hear about her own. So, there's that, don't show me the pictures. Don't tell me about your vacations. She's irritable, I guess, because she has a lot on her mind with losing her dad. She's gonna have the responsibility of probably selling the ranch and all the equipment and the cattle, and who does that? Do you get a broker? So she just wants to sell it and get out of town. So that's her motive. And Wanda lives there. She's a teacher, so she is really entrenched still in the values of the community. And she just wants to chat because, this is a diversion from the usual people at the Dixie Dog Hamburger place. So they've evolved a bit.
But it
it's
seems
still there.
like she could help her friends because she's still entrenched in, at least connect them to who's going to help her sell it and those kinds of supports. So
Yeah. I think Jamie's surprised that she's a little envious of Wanda because Wanda teaches. Wanda's got her hair pink because she doesn't care what people think anymore. She's way past that small town fearfulness, fitting inness. But Jamie, Wanda's deals with the children, that she takes them out to the cemetery on Veterans Day and they plant flags on veterans' graves, and they write thank you card, they write goodwill cards, get well cards for people in the nursing home. She's got them doing community projects. So Jamie's going like, that's good for the town, and it's good for the kids. So she does recognize that that Wanda has some enviable skills in.
So Wanda was able to stay in the town and let herself emerge as just to be herself.
Right.
But Jamie still can't be herself, even though she's moved away.
I think Jamie doesn't know who herself is.
Mhm.
And part of the process of the book is that she discovers what she cares about.
It sounds really good. Thank you.
It is really good.
Jeanette, who would you say of all of your characters that you're most like in your novel?
I'm Jamie, most like. I do admire, I have a friend in Spur who is a teacher who does all this with her children. And she takes them to Lubbock, to Texas Tech, and shows them the museums. And she's always doing something for the kids. And I think, wonder what I would be if they had those efforts when I was in school. And I was a good runner in school, but we didn't have girls track until 5 years after I graduated. I'm still bitter about that.
I'm still bitter they had track because I couldn't run.
I would have been good, but Jamie, I'm like Jamie in that I could not wait to get out of town. I think I stayed there during the summer, but I went across the state of Texas to Commerce to go to school. Everybody else went an hour away to Texas Tech. Not me. I went as far away as I could without leaving the state because I needed state tuition. But I'm Jamie. I'm a little bit of Gina though, because she lives in Austin and she's got a bigger picture of what could be.
But some of the things you've already told us, it's clear that we can't help but put who we are, where we come from into our writing, into our stories. And so is there anything that you had to stop yourself from revealing about yourself?
I'm not going to tell you.
You don't have to tell it.
That's a good question, Eileen.
But there's we have to protect ourselves too, because sometimes you say, whoops, I can't tell anybody that. did that happen to you?
I don't remember if it did, but someone the other day said, oh, with your life, why don't you write a memoir? And it was like, read my book. I do memoir and fiction. And I have a friend who says she does memoir. She's a poet and she does that through her poems. So it's like, we don't have to label everything, autobiography or memoir if we're putting ourselves and our experience into our writing. So
I think it's just a way of, go ahead.
So when I had a book events for walking, and the first ones were here where I had moved and didn't really know anybody, you know, and then in Fairhope, you know, whatever. And then Nashville with the friends that knew me as an adult. But then the last one was in my hometown at the library that I took my son, you know, they're all fiction.
Right.
But it was, I mean, it's like, you know, I used some like Possum Trot Road and like Greenbrier and a lot of that. And it's like, that was like really odd. Like Eileen said, like, I never even thought about that. Like, that people would be like, hold on a second, is that you? Like, it's happened before, but it was people that didn't really know me and growing up. And so I could always just be like, no, it's fiction. But then reading it to a room full of people that I thought, dang, some of my elementary school teachers were there, and like friends of my stepmother's came that I didn't know, like, and then, but they knew story, and it was just like, oh, it was funny when people started then asking questions. I was like, dang,
Did people say, oh, I know who this is Jack Wabeba, and you go like, no. People were telling me who I wrote about, and it's like, there's only one person in my book that is real, and that was the artist who is not even in there. He's referred to. But, you know, people thought that they could identify who your characters were, and it's like, it's fiction, honey.
yeah.
At least you can protect yourself that way by saying it's fiction.
Yeah.
My favorite story I ever heard about that kind of thing was Doug Marlette was Pat Conroy's best friend. He was a Pulitzer Prize winning political cartoonist, and they were, when they get together, they would tell the terriblest stories that would just make me howl. But I was friends with Doug almost even more than Pat. But Doug, you know, he told the story about when he wrote his book, which was about a political cartoonist who loses his job in New York because he beats up his boss. It's a long story, but he has a character in his book that is effeminate. And somebody that lives in his neighborhood was sure that the story was about him. And he was so offended, and he was also an author, and he threw a fit, and he point blank asked him, he goes, that's after me, right? You were naming that after me. You were talking about that person. And he goes, no, that actually was based upon Pat Conroy. It's the best answer. And he said, I'm not joking. Pat's effeminate. And Pat would just get so mad. Oh, I tell you, I would just howl at those two, the things they'd say to each other. But yeah, that's always happens. People think it's their uncle or them, and it may not even be that person at all. So that's always interesting that you have that. But you know, it's like they say, if you write fiction, everybody believes it's really based on a true story. And if you might write a memoir, you made that up, you know.
Yeah, I don't remember it that way. I don't think it happened that way. So my sister and I can talk, and it's like,
I know,
two different events. So I don't know, she would contradict any memoir I ever wrote. So
well, that's what a memoir is. It's your memories.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's factual. It means that's the way you remembered it. And that's
it's true to you.
Yeah.
It's because we all see, I mean, you know, like they say, you know, 2 sides to every story. Well, really, there's 3 or 4 sides to every story.
Well, there's
Depending on how
9.
many people were in the room.
Yeah, there's 9 tonight because everybody that leaves here, excuse me, is going to take back a different story of what they heard from the way you told it, because we bring our own life experiences into it. That's why reading is so much fun, because we get to watch.
No 2 people ever read the same book. I can't remember where that quote came from, but when I read it, I was like, I love that.
Very true.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yes,
Yeah.
Jeanette, have you, I know with COVID, I know you were able to do some in-person events there at the bookstore where you work. Is there any way you'll be able, or have you been able to go to Spur? Would you want to do an in-person? And I would love to know what some of your classmates think.
I missed my great opportunity to read at the Spur Library last weekend. Was homecoming. but I didn't feel good about getting on a plane and being in crowded rooms, because our assembly room where we have Saturday morning assembly is, can get tight, and I didn't know who's wearing a mask and who's vaccinated and all that. So I missed that. On Facebook, I have the best Spur community. They're all like cheerleaders for me. They all bought the book. They're all going like, I know that this town is that town, because I didn't name Spur in the book, and everybody knows where it is. And they're all like, when's your next one? They are so supportive. I just,
That's great.
yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So where are you going? Are you doing anything coming up now that, it's a little opening up some, but not for me, but,
Right. I don't have any plans around the book, but I have serious cabin fever. So yesterday I booked a tour to Prague and Budapest for April.
Ooh,
Maybe I'll have to set a book there. I don't know.
Prague is the
Oh,
most beautiful city in Europe. It's my favorite.
That's what I've heard, that it's so beautiful. So
I have a wonderful author friend from East Texas that lives in Prague. I'll have to introduce you to Christopher Cook.
connect us.
Yeah, he's a Texas boy and he lives in Prague. So he keeps
Wow.
up on world news. Yeah, he's a very adventuresome guy. So he writes. He's been many times the Pulpwood Queen Book Club selection. So anyway, Christopher Cook, you can look him up on Facebook and say the Pulpwood Queen sent you. But how fun is that? That sounds wonderful, doesn't it? To go somewhere.
Yes.
The only venture out I had is I went to the Van Gogh exhibit, and it was worth it. I double masked, and we were very careful. And
Is that the sense around where it moves? I love that. I saw that in Paris. Where is it that you went to see it?
at the Texas Stadium in Dallas?
Wow.
It was huge. Yeah, it was beautiful, and it was very well done because they had it all social distance. They only let so many people in at a time. I had a great time. I highly recommend it. And then I think the MoMA, not the MoMA, but the Dallas Museum of Art, I think they're having a simultaneous Van Gogh exhibit. So maybe another trip up there later when it's a little safer. Right now, it's not good. What is that? Pearl?
It's Mo. He's wanting to go to bed. We've had a long day. We got up extra early.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been seeing Jeanette's cat. Usually I have mine around me, but they went to bed a long time ago. My cats go to bed early. So
they can play all night.
they know they sleep all night, but they get me up really early because they get you up,
Right.
hit you in the face with a paw. But well, this is exciting. Now you've got to tell everybody what you were telling me when I first got on, what you've been working on lately.
Okay. I have a manuscript that I'm sending around to publishers called Dallas Aftermath. It takes place 6 months in Dallas after the Kennedy assassination. And so it's about identity. It's a recent high school graduate moves from a small town to Dallas, and she's trying to find her identity and who she wants to be. And Dallas is trying to get out of the title of the City of Hate. So it's double story about identity.
That'll be good. That'll be really good. Yeah.
So,
I'm excited for that. And you're just now shopping it around. That's great. So, yes, Kathleen.
I just was crossing my fingers.
thank you.
While we're looking at you, I want everybody to look that she has a crown sitting on top of her head because of the logo. It's perfectly positioned.
Well, and it looks like she has the high collar, like the in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, and then you have
part.
she told us all how to do that tonight, which is amazing. And she says, too much? I go, no, not at all. I just think it's marvelous. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, I love it. So I did want to say to Jeanette, when you go travel, do not be ashamed. Take a copy of your book, take The Illusions of Leaving. And when you go, please take photos where you can prop your book, put a picture. It'll be a fun way to do your travel if you're, or when you get back, if you don't, I don't know how, everybody's different when they travel, but take the book, take a few photos in front of landmark places, and it gets your travel photos up, and you're doing a little self promo, but it's not self promo.
And leave it in Prague for somebody to seriously, that would be
Okay,
cool.
good
Put a
idea.
little note, let me know.
I
Yeah.
was here.
When I took the Pulpwood Queens on a cruise for the Royal Caribbean, let us have author events every night, and we had to bring our own books. Well, I didn't want to haul them home, and I didn't have very many left, but I ended up giving them to the staff. You would have thought I gave them a gold Rolex or something, because you're trapped on that ship. And you've seen every show a million times. So their libraries have been well read, and they're just desperate for anything. So when I gave them my book, they're going, oh my God, thank you. I just thought, oh, that's so cool that somebody's so excited to read your book. So yeah, good idea. Yeah, looky there, free book. That's
I can see this.
This is something I just came across that it's to give a book, not necessarily your book, but why not? You could give your book. And it's a book fairy. This symbol, there, the book
Okay.
fairies.
Ah,
Cute.
And the bit.ly book fairy magic. So you
Where's
stick
this come
this
from?
it's someone in Great Britain. I found it from another author, and you stick the bookmark in, so this part sticks up, and then you want to put it on here, and then you can encourage people to share it again. Could be your book or could be a friend's book, but it's another just a just to
Nice.
spread the word.
Kindness. I
Yeah.
always take books on trips, and then I leave them for the maid or the whoever, the people that help you and serve you, because I don't want to take them home after I've read them. I just leave them. And did that all across Europe with one of our Pulpwood Queen trips. I buy it in an airport and then leave it at the next hotel. It was fun. Nobody ever throws the book
any
away.
postcards you should leave a postcard in the book with your address on it, so whoever reads it can send you the postcard.
That'd be fun. Postcard, I'm gonna write that down.
That's a great, it's like a message in a bottle kind of thing. Isn't that fun?
Whoa.
I believe in bookfairies.com. How cool is that?
That's their website. And I've done it for a couple of years. And also, those by the road little libraries.
Oh, free, yeah.
I always leave a book in there, and I leave books in hotels.
And if you're in a town and you're doing a bookstore, go by the local library. I went by the Eudora Welty library when I was in Jackson, and I donated a copy of my book, and they just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so I try to do that to the libraries in towns that I visit, because you always have.
That's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
That was the biggest moment of my life, when I was able to give them a copy of my book, because she was like my idol. So I totally agree.
Eudora Welty, we went to her home, we went to the
Mhm.
house, we did everything when we were on book tour. But yeah, that's a cool thing to do. What have you got? Oh, the collected stories of Eudora Welty. I just picked up a free copy of that. A freebie.
I did that for Kathy Ramsberger because I know she's a huge Eudora Welty fan.
I was a stalker practically.
You got to go to her house. It's exactly.
I
as
did.
she loved
I
it.
did. And I gave him my book and everything. But she was a writer in residence at Hollins. And so she would come to our like green drawing room. I don't want to go on about Eudora Welty because you get me started, but
Well, that's what we do
Oh.
at these meetings. We share our author stories and then we share our own because we're sharing each other's lives through reading a book. So there's nothing wrong with that, Kathy. In fact, we got so off the track last week with Carolyn
I
Lee.
know, that was
It was
wonderful.
awesome though, because
was
I
awesome.
just still have chills over that. So I think it's great. And
I'm writing a story that is the opposite of what I would have written, and it's all because of Carolyn.
well, you'll have to mention her in the credits. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's a story. It's not a book, but I will. I mean, and I also put it on your Facebook that
Oh, good.
thank her, because that's what sharing like this does for us, you know, even if we're it's just a collective energy.
It
That's what-
is.
Yeah.
And we have another big announcement. Mandy, can you put the graphic up of our new bookshop? We were going to share it tonight.
I have to find it. Be
I'm
patient.
so sorry, you guys. I'm having so much allergy problem. Saturday night, I had the book and film club, and I literally had to leave the room. And that crazy Robert Welty, who's my co-host, he said, "Oh, it's okay, Kathy. You may have left, but I just entertained everybody by pole dancing." I was just like, "Oh my!" But I did. I had to. I go into these coughing fits when I talk. Here alone, no, I don't cough all day, but the minute I start talking. But we now have our own bookstore.
Hold on, Kathy. Give me a sec. I'll grab it. But I'm
About it. We have our own bookstore. We've got all of your books on it. We've got all our past books. We've got books that are of authors who are joining our book club are up there. We're going to keep adding and adding and adding. And you can order any book and it benefits independent bookstores. And our 2022 list will be up on there. And we've been asking everybody for autographs because one of the things, autographed book plates, and if you don't know what those are, it's a sticker where you put your autograph on it. And some of the ones that I've been having coming in are works of art, and some of them get real creative. But basically, if anybody buys a book from our bookstore and emails me, I'll send them an autographed book plate to go in it. So it's just giving them added incentive on ordering your books. And this benefits independent bookstores everywhere. And Mandy came up with this darling logo, kind of like she did on reminding us to come to your to the book club meeting tonight for you, Jeanette. And it's a cute little graphic. And what I love about it the most is that she's really captured my crazy personality because I think she's got 6 cats in the bookstore window. Is that right? How many are there?
you might be right. There's a bunch of cats. There's a couple of rabbits, a little fawn, a squirrel. There's
Yeah.
a chipmunk and a lizard.
There isn't a horse, TK. Well, no horses yet, but maybe that'll be find the new animal. I don't know, but she's created this graphic that's just hilarious to me.
Okay, I'm almost.
It's okay. While she finds it, we did this because a lot of people are going to the big booksellers and everything, but we want to help the independent bookstores. I own my own independent bookstore for years and years, Beauty in the Book, which was the only hair salon bookstore, and I miss it every day. And I'm going to tell you, I'm thinking about getting back in the book business because I miss the camaraderie of hand selling books. And so looking for a location. But in the meantime, we opened this up and I've got to get out of this cabin too, you guys. I've been here for 2 years and the cats are tired of me. I mean, they went to bed without me. It's really funny. I go in there and they just kind of look up like, oh yeah, you're still here. But I'm a people person, so I miss everybody. So these meetings to me are my lifeline to a real world. Here we go. Look in the window.
Yeah, 6.
6 cats. It's got my books. It's got a little fawn by my feet. It's got rabbits, lizards. Oh my God. I think there's a bird on the sign.
And there's little baby birds in a nest in the wreath.
It's just absolutely perfect. And I love it. You go to, we'll share the logo, share the link, but I'll probably share it tomorrow. We were going to make the big announcement tonight so everybody could see it. Yeah, you can look at those kitties.
And there's all our books. Look at that. There's all the Purple Queen books on the shelves. Look.
I love
The
it.
coolest thing ever. Mandy, she's got skills, man. I just love it. So there's our International Pulpwood Queen and Timber Guys book club. I tried it out myself and I got a bunch of copies of some books I wanted to read that were recommended by a celebrity. And I thought, well, I want to see how good they are. And so far, fabulous. So I got them pretty quick, just like you get them from, if you order them from the big box stores. So check it out. I'll put the post up tomorrow. And
I'm working on, so like she said, so there's the 2020, the picks in the 2021, 2022, they're up there, but they're not posted yet because we're still, but then
we're still reading books. In fact, we just got a couple more that are fantastic. So we
have more great reads from our Pulpwood Queen authors. So it's like, whether it was a book that was picked or not, or that we've like, Carolyn Haynes, think of all the books that she's, so it's like, I've just been grabbing PK, grabbing, Kathleen, I've got more than one of yours in there. So it's like just putting so it's like they're on the shelf. So they're in the window and we can hand sell them.
And here, if you really want to guarantee that your books get on there, send Mandy the title and ISBN and she'll get it.
Just need the ISBNs. That makes it so easy. Just
give her the ISBNs and she'll punch them in there on that store. And it's pretty cool. I'm very excited about it. I'm getting used to the virtual world. It's really pretty cool when you learn all these things. I'm learning a lot from Mandy, but we had a mega session this morning. I got Jeanette's blog up late because I got my coffee and I was getting ready to post and Mandy called. And the next thing I know, it's noon, y'all. We worked on the computer till noon, trying to get everything lined up. And soon we'll be sending it out to all the authors to.
Well, it took me forever to find the graphic because I've got so many of the authors that are coming to the event, to Girlfriends Weekend, because I want everybody to be seen on the program that are in the audience, whether you're a speaker or not. So my camera's about to, my computer's about to blow up. It's so full.
Well, what we've done is that every author that signs up to come to Girlfriend Weekend will have opportunities to be featured. And then on Sunday night, if you're a 2021, we're having our awards celebration. So if you're under the Book of the Year, Bonus Book of the Year, International Book of the Year, you will all be introduced with your book, because we're going to be sending out a ballot soon for all the members to vote for our Book of the Year, Bonus Book of the Year, and International Book of the Year. Those are tabulated. I will notify the winners, and then it's going to be like the Academy Awards. We're telling everybody we want you to glam it up. So go to Goodwill and find you a sequin top, because all you see is from here up. Robert, you can, there's another artist.
Like me.
Huh? There's
like me. Love it. Yeah.
His opportunity to wear that new wig. So he's been sending me his Halloween costume ideas, and they're just fabulous. He's going as Louis the 14th, y'all. And so you'll be seeing lots of great pictures. But we're going to have the great big bowl of hairball back. And we're having,
sexy reading contest.
Sexy reading contest. You bring your own paragraph to read as sexy as possible, because reading is sexy. And the winners will be crowned the great big ball of hairball masquerade king and queen. So, and we telling everybody, dress as your favorite literary character or author, but you have to wear, a mask, like COVID mask. you can decorate it, whatever you want to do. But we're going to have everybody will be unveiled. They can talk about their costume idea. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we have lots of surprises in store for you. I think it's going to be closer to our live girlfriend weekend. But in the meantime, until it gets safe, this is what we're doing. And the program's amazing. I will tell you, confirmed, David Dotson, the head of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, will be speaking. I'm just like, oh my God. We've got the Pat Conroy Literary Center back with 3 interns this year, and they're going to be doing 2 programs, it looks like. We've got A Mighty Blaze. We've got Bookish Road Trip, Blue Sky Writers. We've got Prose and Pandemic. Eileen and Kathy Ramsberger are going to be doing a panel. We have some, we just got confirmed that I have a Hollywood super couple coming that's going to be doing a Hollywood panel. Lorraine Dupree, who wrote all the television shows during the 80s and 90s. She wrote the episode of Who Shot JR, Dallas Dynasty, $1 Million Man. Her and her husband, Carlton Eastlake, who has a new book, are going to be coming from Beverly Hills. We've got some really awesome things planned. And I think you all are going to kind of be blown away. So if you haven't signed up, you need to, because it's the price is going to go up December 1st, not because we want to raise the price, but we're jumping at $200. And I'll tell you why. We want you all to sign up now. So December, Mandy and I can get a holiday. We are dead right now. We've been working so hard. So if we pretty much almost double the price of it, maybe everybody will get signed up before December 1st. And it's going to be really amazing, you guys, this year.
This program, and it's going to be interactive. I thought, every once in a while you have an idea and it's like a really good idea. It's like, dang, this is such a good idea, because everybody's websites, people and it's going to go out to every, and I don't know,
and it's also
worth the work.
A special bonus edition of Reading Nation magazine, the full program with every author that is coming, photo and book and bio is going to be in this program, and it's going to be sent out all around the world. Tell them what our hits are on the.
Oh my God. So we've passed 25,000 views 2 days ago. I think we hit that little sweet spot now where readers are sharing it. I got an email from a guy that lives in California, sent me a message. He said, I read your story about Greenbrier, and I didn't ask him where, how he found it, but it was in the magazine. I saw some guy because he grew up for a little while. They didn't grow up, but he lived in Greenbrier for a while, and he was like, I know all that. I was going to say something. No, what was I going to say? You were saying.
Oh, I was just telling everybody, it's just going all these different places.
Oh, so the bio, so it's so cool. So on this, our schedule is so jam-packed. I decided just to put all the bios of on the panel, the speakers and everything in alphabetical order at the end of that. It's just so cool. And I love reading our bios. We're such a cool group of people.
The coolest things about people. I had an author I got to notify today, and she called me. And when she told me what her and her husband did, I was like, oh my gosh, and you're coming to our weekend. She's so excited. I'm not going to do any more reveals until the big reveal, but it's coming soon. But we just need everybody to sign up, get everybody to sign up, because the sooner we get everybody on board, the sooner we can Mandy can start on Work in Progress, which is our anthology that features all of you that have sent in. How many of you have sent in a story for our anthology? Oh my gosh, almost everybody here. I got to get mine in. I haven't even.
They're so good.
They're so good. They're so good. And Jonathan,
oh my gosh, do y'all know that Jonathan Hope's going to write afterward, and he's that. So the Pat Conroy Literary Center is going to promote us.
Yes, they are. And they, Leslie Lear, who wrote that beautiful love letter in our Reading Nation magazine, we've asked her to do the intro because she's been with me for a very long time. And she's got, we want to get her out there because she just sold her book to Salma Hayek to be an HBO miniseries. Yeah, I know. And we're so excited for her because she's had quite a journey. She's gone through a divorce and cancer, and her husband are both coming. And he's got a wonderful book on writing. In fact, she met him during a writing workshop. So John Truby is going to be coming too. They're coming from California. So we got lots of surprises, lots of newbies, but we want everybody that's been a part of this to know that this is our book family reunion. And we can all come back and celebrate our journey of our lives reading together. And this will be our 21st year. Can you guys believe that? It started out in front of my hair salon bookstore that was attached to my house out in the woods of East Texas under a tent. We had 50 authors, all Texas authors, including the Texas Country Reporter. And I think we had 50 attendees. So we had one attendee for each author, but it didn't matter because each year it got bigger and bigger. And then one year it rained and we realized that we need to move into town. And so we did. And that was, in 2000 is when we started this. So 2001 is what was our first convention. And now we're at 2021. So you guys, it's all because of you and sharing the stories and sharing each other's lives, Jeanette. And thank you for coming on board. Now, I want to tell everybody before we leave tonight, be sure and go to the Pulpwood Queen Presents her picks tomorrow because I'm going to get your post on time. And she sent in every blog on Sunday, so I don't even have to hunt her down to get the blogs. And here I was off with Mandy talking about our book thing, and she called me and she said, "Where's my blog?"
She called me back after, and she was like, "Maybe I didn't get Jeanette's blog up."
Oh my God! I just was like, I get on one thing. I don't know if you guys are like that, but it's kind of like squirrel, and you're just like off in another direction. So thank you. Please forgive me, Jeanette. We will get you up tomorrow, and she's got them all the way through Saturday. You're in for a real treat. So check out on our bookshop. You can go to our bookshop. Can we post? Do you have the link with you that you can put in the chat box?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go and order that, and then you'll help independent bookstore. And Jeanette, have you sent me the signed book plates yet?
Yes, you have them.
I have them. If I've got one, I will send you, when you order it, I will send you, be sure and message me. I bought a book. I will send you a signed book plate. So be sure and include your address. So I have a lot of yours, but I always make sure I get it to the right place. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us, Jeanette. Thank you, Facebook, and all our friends out there in Bookland. We will have this, we have this recorded. It will be up on my Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel. And it takes a little while. Depends on how busy the internet is, but I'll have it up and we'll post it in the morning too. Sorry, guys.
I'll put it on the Facebook Live in the comments on that one.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I love y'all. And let's get ready to have some fun. It's building bridges through reading is our theme. In fact, Eileen and Kathy have a program that is geared just towards that with Deborah Thomas. Is somebody else on your panel?
And you.
And Tani. And so they're going to be all talking about building bridges through books. So I'm really pumped about their presentation, but all of them are going to be fantastic. And again, thank you all for making my life real. I'm kind of living here in La La Land. So thank you for bringing it back home. Thank you for sharing your illusion of leaving and your story of home. And we will see you at Saturday Night Book Club, and we're watching. Let's share that.
Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
So Saturday night at 6:30, it's up on the event page. We have a permanent link. Go on there and click on to join us. And it's so funny. Ruthie Landis goes, I can't decide if I'm going to come as Boo or I forgot who the other characters come as. And I go, oh, darling, I'm coming as Harper Lee. So we'll see y'all there Saturday night at 6:30. Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
I
Thank
love
you.
y'all.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.